Yo, yo, yo. Hey, guys, welcome back to the Best Practices Show podcast. Do you ever struggle with the idea of how do I motivate my dental team? Or how do I get them to use technology? Or how do we put both of those together? Well, today we answer both of those questions with a friend of mine in dentistry. She's awesome, Dr. Kelly Tanner. And we talk about how to motivate your team to use the technology. Listen up. I know you guys will enjoy it. We'll see you soon. Hey guys, welcome back to the Best Practices Show podcast. I'm so pumped that you keep showing up, keep hanging out with us, and we keep bringing it. Today, I've got a good friend of mine, Dr. Kelly Tanner, and we're going to be talking about one of those subjects that's just tough. Like, how do I motivate my dental team to use the right and proper technology, and how do I educate them? So I'm so pumped. So thanks for listening. Kelly, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it.
Hey, Kirk, so nice to be here with you again. He was just on my podcast not long ago. And Kirk, it's so nice to be a guest on yours.
Yeah, so you're a busy person. And so we were together at ADA SmileCon, and you're doing a lot of great stuff out there. And I'm like, yes, I would love to have you on our podcast and talk about some of the things that are so important in the world of dentistry. But before we do that, I always love, knowing who we are talking to and who we're listening to. I know your story. We got a chance to meet you during the COVID conference. But if I'm a new listener to the podcast, who's Dr. Kelly Tanner? What do you do?
I help raise people to their highest human potential, essentially, in all things dental leadership. Started out in dentistry when I was 17, like many of you all, way back in the Wayback Machine, as a dental assistant, went on to be a dental hygienist, taught, opened a dental hygiene program, have been consulting and speaking for over 20 years. It's wild how time goes, and just love every second of it. So I decided, because I love humans so much, people so much, to go back to get my PhD in organizational leadership and business, because don't we need that in everything that we do?
100%. I wish I could go back and do something like that earlier in my career. It would have saved a lot of stomach linings. So it's good stuff. Now, I want to talk about the why in this. So you do a lot of great stuff. Let's talk about why this topic is so important in dentistry.
Oh, well, it's all about connection, isn't it? And relationship. That's what's in it for all of us. I think at the core of our gooey center and the jelly donut, it's all about people and serving people and meeting them where they are to meet their need. And I feel like that when we truly are intentional about connecting with other people and are understanding even what people are not saying in our chair, in our team, it's critical, because that's when we can help. That's when we have empathy. That's when we can change the narrative on the actions that they are taking and that we can help them take to, from a patient standpoint, to make the right decisions toward scheduling the treatment that they need, to understand complex concepts in a way that they've never been able to before. And then from a team aspect, man, you spend so much of your time there that you've got to jive. That's your family. And there is, who is it? John Maxwell says that the smaller the team, the more important, even more important it is to be able to communicate effectively, efficiently, and to know when a look can kind of be misconstrued between team members, because just one look from a team member can throw the rest of your day off, can it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you're gonna have to teach me what those are, because I see them and I'm like, whoa, that's not good. So, but let's marry those two concepts. I mean, I want to talk about, you use the word motivate. Like, how do we motivate team members? Let's talk about what that means. And then also the technology. So I asked you before we hit the go button, like, define technology. So I want you to define what you're talking about when it comes to motivating and technology. What do you think?
So technology is 3D scanning devices, it's CBCT, it's digital cameras, it's lasers, it's digital sensors, it's anything new. And sometimes even for some offices, it's technology for AI. It's
Yeah.
reading the radiographs, sending them over the interwebs into the global outer space system where there's a space modulator. You remember the guy with the space modulator?
I haven't heard space modulator in a long time.
And sending it out somewhere to have it read, to have your team be supported by these technologies so they can best serve the patient. And so that's what I mean by technology.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So where do we start? And I'll be the dentist who's listening. So Kelly, you don't understand. Like, okay, so I'm going to motivate them. Give me the basics on this because I have a team here and I love them. I do, but I went to school to learn dentistry. I love working with patients, and now I got to motivate the people I work with every day. What do you say when somebody brings that to you?
The GUI Center. So I know, Kirk, that you understand this better than probably many of us. The core values of your team are so important
Yeah.
to know what is driving them, those characteristics, those principles, those values that are at the center of everyone who's in that practice, because then that truly informs the inside out and the outside in for your team. But then what do you want from your team?
Right.
What do you know about them? What makes it personal for you? Do you know why they're there every day and what their why is? Have you
Yeah.
had a chance to have that conversation? So start by being intentional with that team member to connect and to say, okay, what is your why? What do you want to do when you leave here? Do you always want to be a dental assistant? Do you always want to be a front office manager, a treatment plan coordinator, a dental hygienist, a dentist? Do you want to be those things? And how can I help support you? Because in all of those conversations, you're going to learn some of the special sauce, the things that keep them motivated and the things that are their driving force that gets them up every single day out of their bed. That's that lightning in the bottle for them to say, my feet are hitting the floor and this is what I want to accomplish.
Yeah,
every day, other than having to pay the bills.
Yeah, you're speaking my jam now because Kelly, you're hitting a nerve here because typically in a conversation when you're talking to anybody in the industry about motivating, it starts outside in. You know, what you're really talking about is inside out. And let me explain, because I tried to do outside in, which is I'm going to take somebody and I'm going to motivate them, put them in an environment, and let's get them all fired up and keep them focused. And what you're talking about is a totally different approach. It's about figuring out the behaviors, the verbs that make this place run, and then really setting them up as the foundation, which are the core values, and finding people that embody those core values and they're excited about them. Because when you get that part going, you don't have to motivate anybody. No. They do it because they want to do it. And they bring other people that want to be a part of that. Now, trust me, I'm not riding a unicorn coming in here going, oh yeah, there's always challenges in that. But I don't know that you can authentically motivate anybody. I think you can inspire them. You can tell them today and get them excited about a few things. But if you're going to motivate somebody and you're looking to motivate them, that requires a lot of extra energy. Don't you agree?
Well, it depends. My favorite answer.
I love that.
Through all of the reading that I've done for years about leadership, and I teach leadership courses at Christopher Newport University. I teach the presidential leadership students at the college, and I even ask them, what are the most important characteristics of a leader? What would everyone in this room say? So we write them up on the dry erase board and we do all this. And it always comes to the center of, you have to trust them, and they have to have vision and charisma, and they got to be open, right? You got to be a leader. You got to have followers, and those followers have to be able to have someone they look to that they trust to create that vision, to be able to draw them along, to say, I believe in you. So it does take some motivation, but I believe, and I think a lot of the research supports this too, that there's that intrinsic and extrinsic locus of control, that you have to believe that maybe there's something that you haven't done, or maybe that you can't do, but it's just the power of knowing that it's not yet, that you have autonomy over achieving that, and you can figure it out, that the outside sources aren't in charge of you, you're in charge of them.
Yeah.
So it enabled to be able to, as the dentist talking to me, it's figure out their why, figure out that motivating factor, be the person who they want to follow, because there's a lot of other dentists in the area that can attract that person. But what about you is going to make them stay? What about your practice is going to make them stay?
Yeah. So true. Gosh, we could turn this into a 2-hour podcast. And so a couple of things I think about is, team members never leave a practice. They leave a person. They never go, yeah, that practice wasn't very cool, I left it. No, they left somebody. They left like a dynamic in there. And number two is it's exactly what you're talking. You get the values in line and then you grow people. Like I've always thought, let me get the values right. Let's grow some people. And then I don't know. I personally don't love the whole follow me thing. I don't like that. And Jim Collins said like a level 4 leader gets people to follow them. A level 5 leader gets people to follow the cause, and I like that better. I would much rather people follow the cause. They're bought into the purpose, the energy, like what are we trying to do here? And for me, at least that's worked so much. Now, is it ever perfect? No, it's not. But I think if you can hold on to a few things every day, it's too hard to think about everything, so. Yeah. So maybe we start with, some of those components. And now, okay, but I get that piece. Kelly, what about the technology? I'm going to introduce the 7 most expensive words in business. Here they are. That's the way we've always done it. Why are we getting a CBCT? I don't want to use this thing. Okay, what do you think?
Well, you have to help them. You have to help that team member go back to the original answer about why they're there to begin with and why they're showing up every day. I would bet you, because most people answer yes to this, that it's about serving people. So can we, with this technology, with this procedure protocol, whatever, fill in the blank, CBCT, 3D scanner, serve the patient at a different level to help them understand and to help them get the best health outcome from this?
Yeah.
So if you can relate that and translate that back to that dental professional, that dental team member, they're more likely to be able to figure out how to put it in their workflow. Period.
For sure. And then talk about the educational piece. So I get it. Maybe I'm motivated. But Kelly, we're so busy. We have patients every day. Can't they just figure this stuff out? And that's kind of a loaded question. But how do you put that into play when you're coaching an office? And how do we make that happen?
Well, Kirk, I think you know dentists like this, not that you're this dentist, but where docs will go out to a convention and they come back with the shiny thing.
Right.
And they roll it back in or set it. It's like, oh, this is the best thing that I've ever purchased. Okay, let's use it on Monday. And everybody's going, what is this about? What do we even do with this? So one, you've got to train your team. They have trainers. Some of the best companies I've worked for and worked with have the best trainer and support around that tech. And then also too, what do those procedures protocols fit in around that individual schedule? So for instance, I love teaching offices about how to integrate 3D scanning in their hygiene operatory. So agnostic to any type of scanner, okay?
Right.
Just using it, putting it in play to educate. It is not about selling, because educating is serving. Right? So when you take and you make time and a 1 3-minute scan that you can do compresses that visit down, you gain back 10 minutes of time. So a picture can be worth 1,000 words. What is a scan or an x-ray or something else that you're showing them visually that is even worth more than 1,000 words? Because it's about a visual and emotional experience for the patient. That's how we all make decisions. So if we can integrate something, a CBT scanner, 3D scan, show them what it is, they can see what you see. They go, whoa, I didn't know that was there. I now want to take action on that. Don't you think, dental professional, that saved you time? Because now you don't have to try to explain it from this very complex thing that they can now see for themselves.
Yeah. So I love it. So, and one other thing to consider too, as a dentist, if you're a dentist listening, team members aren't exposed to some of the technology, the research behind this. So you come back from a course, you're all fired up. So give us some realistic expectations. If I'm a dentist, listen, Kelly, I've trained my team. I spent a whole day training them. They should get it. I don't think they get it in one day. There's a certain level of consistency and putting this into a schedule before they seriously adopt it. I mean, think about how long it took you, doctor, to adopt some things. So help me understand, like, what are my reasonable expectations when it comes to, even if I motivate them, how long am I waiting to see them fully adopt it? What are your thoughts?
Right. Well, it's practice, right? Just like anything else, holding a high speed, doing a certain procedure. It took you a little while to get there. We all have to remember that the first time that we held a mirror, it took a minute to not feel like we were going to drop it down someone's throat.
Right.
Right. And so it's going to take that muscle memory, that repetition, that repetitive nature of putting it into your workflow, having doctor and team be also giving you some grace to do that. Not saying give you 10 extra minutes. That's not what I mean, but be intentional about practicing that. So with the scan yourself. Okay. Sit down with teammates while a patient, if you're waiting on a patient or a patient cancels or during lunchtime or whatever, sit someone down in the chair, practice on them, get better, get that feedback from team members. And a lot of times the support that is provided through the manufacturer, they're so great. They have different challenges that team members not challenges like it's harder, but they'll say, okay, Kirk, you and Kelly are in a team. You guys are going to go towards this goal to see who can get a 3-minute or less scan together. And we're going to compete to get that. We're going to time it, just like little challenges, not to that it would get in the way of the patient's safety or anything. Of course, this would be, in an ideal environment where you're doing everything the right way. It may take you a little bit longer, but you and I are competing towards the same goal. So what this is doing with these little competitions, I'm just using this as one small example. If we're talking about scanning of, between you and I and other team members, it's encouraging us to use it because there's some type of reward system that's going to go outside of me. I really want to do it, but how am I going to make myself want to do it? Because I'm scared of that. Right. As a team member, I'm scared about that the patient may know that I don't know what I'm doing. They're going to know I'm going to mess up. They're apprehensive when truly you're projecting that onto your own experience. And so to get that practice to even start to do this with new patients, a lot of times when it comes to scanning or CBCT, they have no idea what your normal is. They just think it's part of anything. Just like when you're doing a crown prep, they have no idea if it's the first time or if it's the 25th time you've done it.
Right. Now, okay, so Kelly, what if I'm doing this and they're still not responding? Like, and you also can understand the climate challenges because I get these questions all the time. So I like to bring those to other experts like you. So what if I do this? I'm still not motivating my team members and I'm paper thin here already. I still have that ad running for a hygienist. Any coaching you'd give me on that?
Well, I would go to the team member. I always start with, how can I support you? The best words ever. How can I support you with this? And listen for more than 5 seconds and pause and let them fill in the blank air, the airspace, because they'll tell you if you listen and just say, how can I support you? Do you need more time? Do you need, don't give them the answer. What are you having the most challenge with? What do you think that would be most beneficial for you? And then once they tell you if they need a little more time or they need a little more coaching, bring that other trainer back in during a lunch and learn, whatever that looks like. And people hire me to come in to consult and watch their workflow. And I can, within an hour, usually of looking at the entire thing, say, oh, there's that, and squish their time. And then just yesterday, I went to the dentist. This is a great example. I don't know why I didn't bring it up sooner. My dentist, she has a new team, and the team member, this is her 3rd scan for this intraoral scanning device. And so I'm a trainer, just not paid by anyone, but just because I'm a consultant. And she's like, okay, I know who you are and I know you train. Give me any feedback. I'm like, I want you to be confident. I want you to know that you have got this. She starts to do it and she's like, tell me if I can do anything. So I reached up gently and I held her arm and I went, twist. She goes, oh. And I said, parallel. So all it needs sometimes is one word for her to see that difference on the screen and how it's turning out. And she goes, oh, well, I didn't know that. So it just takes like one flick of her wrist and here it is. It's filled in all the spots where it was missing before. I said, you see, it's like a camera. If you hold it too far away with this particular scanner, it's trying to fill in the information for what it thinks it needs. And she's like, oh, just like a real camera. Exactly. It's going to be blurry. So it's trying to make sense of it. Oh, so it's that real-time feedback, just like coaching. Kirk, just like when you guys are coaching people and you see it in action, boom, boom, boom. It's those little bitty things that give that confidence. And so you say, okay, I'm going to go at it again. This time I'm going to get the first go at it and I'm going to hold it parallel.
Yeah, that real-time feedback is critical. I think what you're saying is spot on. I mean, if I was a dental assistant or a dental hygienist, you'd have to do hours of that with me just to make sure I have it, So I think that's really important. Also, learning from any expert, an outside expert, can also see potential obstacles that are coming. I mean, you've seen this where you go into an office, even when it comes to natural administrative purposes, systems like the front desk. You can say, okay, I'm going to tell you there are going to be 3 things that come up when you start using the system. Patients will say X, then they're going to say Y, and then they're going to say Z, and you have to welcome those questions. So when it comes to technology, I think it's really important to give them that training and watch them do it. And then you've got to have feedback, role-playing time in that. I made the simple mistake early in my career. I'm like, I've told my team 1,000,000 times, but what I realized is that's only like one step in 5 steps that helps them truly adopt something. So what are some other thoughts? When you look at technology, what are some of your fastest or most favorite stories when it comes to technology? What were some of your like, whoa, that's an aha? Do you have any that come to mind?
In terms of technologies, the AI and the radiographs right now.
Oh, wait, go back to that. That's a huge one. Okay, you just opened up a huge can of worms. First, explain what that is, and it's blowing everyone's mind. Why is that so important? What's happening in dentistry now?
Well, it's so important because it's the appointment where everyone is rushed and doctors rushed, and sometimes not you, but sometimes doctor and hygienist are rushed. We're all thinking that we're looking at the same X-ray. We're looking for the same things, we think, but then it's just sitting there. This pathology is just sitting there because it's not jumping off the screen at you. But then these AI technologies are already pre-screening this and somewhat giving you a second opinion, not taking you out of the equation, but helping you. They're supporting you to say, hey, I'm over here. Look at this, with a percentage of confidence that may be what in fact you're looking for or looking at. And then you get to say, nah, I don't agree with that. Or, whoa, I almost missed that. So these AI systems, they're constantly taking in information, as we all know. The more information you feed it, the smarter it gets. And, the more cases you put in, it's going to give you more output based on different patients all over the world. And so you're sitting there in an op, and all of a sudden these boxes come up around the teeth or at the bone level saying, hey, there's periodontal, there's bone loss here, there's loss of lamina dura, there's potential pathology here. And I'm going, whoa, I never would have otherwise seen that. I would have thought maybe it was something else. Or I think that it's easy in any part of our lives to, if we're experiencing something, to try to explain it away of my stomach's upset. Oh, it's probably that thing that I ate. Or it's probably this. Well, how long has this been going on? A week now. No, it's not that then. It's probably something else. But we can look at it and say, no, that's probably just, cervical burnout on the x-ray. No, it's caries, because this also thinks that it's caries. And should we look a little bit closer? It truly gives you that second opinion to be able to give you the best predictable outcome for that patient and to catch things when they're small, right? Yeah. It is always the goal, because dentistry only gets more expensive.
Yeah. It's cool because these AI systems also take out the subjectivity, when it comes to interpreting, and they're learning constantly by the hour, by the practice, by the patient. So it only gets better and better every month. And so having a team member, and a lot of these companies, I mean, we're familiar with several of them, they do a great job of training that's really underutilized, don't you think?
Yes, by training by many companies and manufacturers, we need to take advantage of this. So, with doctors who have purchased technology, please take advantage of this training. It will save you so much time. It will create efficiency like you've never known it, and it will flatten the learning curve with your team.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Kelly, I'm overwhelmed. What if I'm a young dentist? I just bought a practice. I don't have a CBCT, but I am going digital, at least on the impressions or the scanners. And it just seems overwhelming to think about all this. What do you usually tell a dentist from that perspective? Because I have a lot of dental students listening, and I'm like, you guys, this is a great profession, but you just got to do one step at a time. Would you agree?
Yeah.
I actually just gave you the question and I'm leading you with an answer. I shouldn't do that. But what do you think?
Well, I totally agree with you, Kirk. And I was just with Dr. Jennifer Bell. She's on Dentists in the Know. I'm sure you know Jennifer Bell.
Yeah.
And she was telling her own story about how she kind of threw everything technology into her timeline, and it ends up with confusion of the team because they don't know which system is which. They don't. It can be overwhelming, to your point. So start to where it's going to give you the biggest value in your practice. So digital sensors for sure. And I think there's other resources out there. It may have been on your website where I saw it, the top things to start with when you're a new dentist,
Right.
and the number one things that are great to invest in, and then where you build from there, and what are those things that are going to be a standard in every other office. And then perhaps after you get that situated and you're seeing that productivity and you're seeing the team work their efficiencies, go to the next thing. What is going to increase your productivity, your profit margin, and also decrease your overhead, obviously. And what can everyone use? What can everyone make sense of? And I think, like you have mentioned before, don't choose 85 goals for your team. Like, choose like 2 or 3 for a quarter, or
Heck, try
even
one.
a half a year.
Try one. Don't go to 2 goals until you try one. Don't try to build 2 practices until you get one right. I found that to be easier. So that is awesome. What are some other challenges you see when it comes to motivating team members in this world? We're in a different time. This is a different age, a different time in dentistry. And, any other thoughts you have on that?
Oh, yes. Well, when you're talking about technology, where some people can have their own bias created about, I don't want to bring tech in because it will overwhelm the team. I find just the opposite, that team is looking to be rejuvenated by different cutting edge technology. They're looking to learn something new. They want to offer their patients something. They want to be excited around something. And anything new like that, whether it be a new software that you're integrating, and new electronic health record, whatever it is, people can come together around that. So that actually builds the team in a way that other things may not in other ways. So bring the technology in. Don't be hesitant about it, because I think that you'll find, surprisingly, that your team will embrace it, because they'll say, my doctor cares about me. My doctor cares about their patient. It actually enriches their patient experience. And the patients go, I've never been told that before in my entire life, or showed that. But because remember, people expect a visual experience.
Right.
We expect it from Instagram, from YouTube, from this podcast, everything.
Yeah.
They expect it. And so if we're not giving it to them, it's kind of like we're falling short. So what are you giving your team that they can be excited about?
Yeah, I love it. Amen, sister. I love it. I love it. So I appreciate you so much. And this is such an important component of dentistry. Is number one, we never bargained for how much the people dynamic would exist in any business. And as you continue down the road of being an entrepreneur, you're going to see, wow, the people component is even more and more important. So Kelly, any last thoughts you have on how to motivate my dental team with using this new technology? Any thoughts?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, know who you are as a leader. That self-awareness for you as the dentist, the practice owner, you got to have that self-awareness of yourself and what your own limitations can be. We didn't even get into that, but
yeah,
that's a whole other thing. To know your true north. Are you even happy with what you're doing?
right.
And how you can fill that for yourself. Another one is to, ask your team, like we talked about, ask them what lights them up, like what makes them want to come to work every day, and maybe some things that don't. And then help them tell you what truly motivates them, because then you can respond in a way that's meaningful to the practice. And sometimes you find out that they don't align with your practice anymore, or
Right.
perhaps or like you've seen, Kirk, that they're ready to grow into a different position because they're telling you something. You're like, oh, well, shoot, I didn't realize you were even interested in that. So they become stagnated. They become burnout. You get the attrition because you're not listening.
Yeah.
So listening also with that empathy, and then not assuming that they don't want the technology, and to start by relying on your team, and then also the company, the manufacturer, to deliver the training, deliver the support. And if you can't reach your end goal, get someone else to come in to give you a different lens on perhaps what your team can be doing, or, just it's small little things. It's that real-time feedback, like you're talking about, that help that team as a learning organization to improve. It's only when you bring sometimes in something that's a disruptor, like technology, that truly brings your team together.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love the questions that you propose, because you will find that your favorite team members, they love to be challenged. That's another learning that took me a while. I was like, you have great people. They have to be challenged in order to stay. Oftentimes we think the opposite. No, they love a good challenge, a good puzzle. Doesn't mean they want to work more hours. That's not what I'm saying. But to think better, to operate better, to provide better care, to grow as individuals. It's powerful when you can get your brain around that. So, Kelly, thanks for being on. I know you do a lot of cool stuff. So if I'm listening and I've never heard you speak, like, where can I go? How do I learn about more of what you do?
Thank you for the question. The Dental Handoff is my podcast, baby. It's everything leadership, communication, and tech. So we talk about that every week. Every Tuesday it drops. And also you can find us on YouTube, The Dental Handoff. And then Next Level DH on Instagram and on Facebook. And my website, kellytanner.com. And then my company, nextleveldentalhygiene.com as well. I'm sure those will all be in your show notes. But thank you so much for listening and for having me.
Oh my gosh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for being on. So wait, I want to go back to, you have 2 podcasts?
Oh, no, it's the Dental Handoff, but it's on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
We have like the vodcast over there, where it's the video and all the facial expressions, but then there's the audio that drops.
Okay, so I apologize. I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, so sometimes you have to go slow with me explaining. But yeah, you guys, if you're listening, you have to check out her podcast. She has amazing guests on there, always proposing some great thoughts. It's very entertaining. So, Kelly, as always, I'm so grateful to have you on here. So thanks for being on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. So grateful for you, Kirk. Be well.
Hey, don't leave just yet. Stick around when we say goodbye to everybody else. But thank you guys for listening or watching the Best Practices Show wherever you consume podcasts. Hey, and if you joined today and you enjoyed it, do us a favor, hit the share button, share it with your friends, and keep sending us suggestions of things that you guys want to see. We are lining them up and doing them in great fashion. I love this stuff so much. I'm going to keep bringing great experts, great challenges that you have so you can create a better practice and a better life. So until you guys hear from us next time, or you see us next time, keep watching or keep listening to the Best Practices Show. You guys enjoy your day.